Maybe outgoing right now, and that's Jadon Sancho. Now, we know that this brother is cooked, right? We know that he has no future at Manchester United. Ever since they announced that Erik ten Hag was staying, that was the writing on the wall for Sancho, and we know the history between them, right? Sancho fell out with the manager. He ends up going on loan second half of last season, plays at Dortmund. I think he did pretty well. Helped them reach the Champions League final where they lost to Madrid. And now that that's over, there was some speculation that maybe Dortmund might buy him back. But we all know Dortmund are not a serious club. They're the equivalent of human traffickers. They only want to buy young kids, make them good, and sell them for profit. Because they didn't even want to pay 30 or 35 million for Sancho, right? They said that money is too much, which to me is inexcusable, especially when you're a club that we're supposed to consider a big one. But nonetheless, he has returned to Manchester United, and it's going to be a little awkward until he's moved out, because I know for a fact him and the manager have not repaired their relationship, and the club have already expressed that they want to move on from him. All the big reporters have said this, and he's been linked with a lot of teams. We're talking about Barcelona. I've seen linked to Arsenal, Juve, who we're going to talk about in a second. He's been linked to Dortmund. He's been linked to everybody, bro. And I can't even tell you where he ends up. I don't know. But the Juve link is one that we were seeing from last January. And I always say where there's smoke, there's fire. So I believe that there actually is something here with Jadon Sancho and his possible move to Italy. Now, when he was first linked to Juventus, I believe Allegri was their manager. And I was like, hell no. You cannot go to Juve, because Allegri will have Jadon Sancho playing as a left wing back, bro. He'd be doing more defending than he will attacking. And now that Thiago Motta is there, and we saw the brand of football that he likes to play, I'm thinking this could be a really good deal for him. Or I'd say a really good move. Because Motta likes to play attacking football, control possession, and I think Sancho would be able to do some things in that Italian league, because I actually rate him. Right? I know a lot of people have given up on Sancho, and they think that he's a bum and he just never lived up to his potential. And I kind of agree, because I do believe he's a flop at Manchester United, right? Like, you don't spend 72 million pounds on a player and they don't work out and you're not a flop, right? Now, I don't necessarily believe that he's a flop due to things that he's done, right? Like, he has some blame, but I more so blame Manchester United. I blame the managers, right? You saw what Sancho was doing at Dortmund before you guys bought him. He was cooking. Sancho was looking like the English Neymar, on the ball, beating people 1v1, creating all these chances, really skillful, slowing down the game, linking play. And then you bring him to Manchester United, and then you have him in a shit system where he's defending most of the time. Why'd you buy him then? Like, technical players do not go to Manchester United and succeed. I don't know what it is. Maybe things will change underneath Ineos. But it seems like they just don't go there and thrive. So I do believe, yes, he's a flop. But I also put a lot of that blame on the club. Not saying that Sancho doesn't get any of it. Now, if I was him, you got to think real carefully about that next move. Because if you go to Juve, if you go to a Barcelona, a Arsenal, wherever, and if you flop there, it might just be over for you with these big clubs, brother. You might have to start looking at Luton Town and, maybe like an Ipswich in your future. So he has to make that next move very carefully. But from what I've seen with Thiago Motta, I think it could be a good fit, especially because the Italian league is super slow. Serie A is not a fast-paced league, right? We all know that you get a lot of time on the ball there. And I think in a system where he's able to have possession and have time on the ball, yeah, I think Sancho would do really well. And I know that Manchester United won about 40 M's for him. I think it's going to be hard for them to get a lot of money for Sancho, though, because they kind of lowered his value, right? The whole world knows that the manager doesn't want him. The whole world knows that the club want him out of there. So how can you now expect to get a high price when people know that you don't want the player? So I think it's just up to what Sancho wants to do. I think a lot of clubs will be in for him, but it's just really hard for me to predict where he goes. Also, he's going to have to be willing to take a huge pay cut. Juventus are not going to be paying him the money that Manchester United are. And I think that he realizes that, right? Maybe that could decide, maybe that makes him decide if he wants to stay in the Premier League or not to get more money. I don't know. I think wherever we see Sancho go, that will tell us a lot about what his ambitions are. But, I mean, based off how he played in the second half of last season with Dortmund, I mean, this guy was in the Champions League going against PSG with Mbappe on the pitch, and he looked like the best player in that game. He was absolutely cooking. So there is definitely a player there. And I think whoever gets him, if you could put him in the right system, they're going to get a monster. So I want you guys to let me know what you think about Jadon Sancho possibly going to Juventus. Do you like the move? Or do you think, nah, like he's cooked and he'd be a waste of money? But yeah, Man United, they want to get rid. And it's just weird to me because if I was them, I'd tell Ten Hag, I'm like, yo, bro, make it work out with this guy because he's a good player, right? Our wingers are not that good regardless, right? We're starting Marcus Rashford and Megan Rapinoe, and then we got Anthony there as well, right? Amad Diallo, I like him a lot, so I'm not going to diss him. But Sancho, to me, is not any worse than those three are. So it's weird because United have about two wingers who they're probably going to sell this summer. No, they will sell, actually, and Sancho and Greenwood. And I believe both those guys can help them right now. But it is what it is, you know? I think Manchester United, they probably will be in the market for a winger this summer. I know that they were chasing Olise before he decided to go join Bayern Munich. But, yeah, this is one to keep your eye out for because I just don't understand, like, why sell him? Like, why? But also, why keep Ten Hag, right? Like, that's, whoa, real quick. Yeah, that would have been one that you could have easily got rid of. But it is what it is.